Matt, it's hard to believe that we've been doing this podcast for almost a year. This is we're recording our 37th episode right now. And we had some weeks where we missed because of life things coming up. But we're nearing the end of our first year as a podcast, and we're also nearing the end of the calendar year. So I thought it would be fun to do like a year-in review type of episode, with just a few things like award show style, sort of a look back on the year. In comics, there's a couple of video game things in here as well. But Matt and I are prepared for this one. We knew what the categories were going to be ahead of time, so we're prepared. And we're just going to share our thoughts on 2022. But those thoughts are in a very tight funnel of 8 categories that we're gonna.
I was going to say the committee's very biased on this one. It was
it's a biased.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to open this up to the community, but the committee was very biased this year. So maybe we should rectify that in the future. I don't know, or not. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if there's ever a time where we have enough people in our little community that we could open it up to them. Yeah, absolutely. For now, it's a committee of 2. There's 2 opinions. They're probably going to conflict a little bit.
Maybe.
But we'll find out. So, without further ado,
right to it. I like
our first. What is this? Like, it's not an award. So I guess it's a category.
yeah.
First category. Our biggest surprise of 2022. This is a comics related surprise. Matt, what is yours?
Okay, my biggest surprise, like when Dave sent me this list, I keep an Excel list, everyone, of every comic book I read throughout the year. So when Dave sent me this, let's just say I was a little bit overwhelmed of all the different stuff I read. Read a lot of good stuff, read a lot of bad stuff. My biggest surprise of the year, though, comic book series was I really had fun with Public Domain by Chip Zdarsky. I've talked about it before on a previous episode. I don't remember what episode it was, but I think anyone who is a fan of the current state of pop/nerd culture should read this series, because it really delves into creator rights and the importance of like the source material and the people who make all these things, and not just the end goal and end result. I think that it's written in a way too where it's not like too over your head. It's written in a way that's funny and engaging. So that was my biggest surprise, that I didn't think I was gonna like more. I liked it a lot more than I thought it would. I'm sorry, Dave. I have one other caveat. I know we're really supposed to.
Here we go.
I know we're really.
Here we go. We're not even all the way done with the first category.
I'm setting the floor. I know we're really supposed to stick to like one thing, but it was not a comic book series, but it was comic related. Honestly, the biggest surprise to me was probably the announcement at New York Comic Con or whatever about DC Infinite Ultra. For me personally, I've saved so much money on that app. That was a big surprise that I didn't see coming. Reducing that release date from 6 months to a year, or from 6 months to a year, from 6 months to a month behind has been huge for me. And I'm really waiting to see if Marvel follows suit. That's my only caveat. The rest of them, I got one, and that's it. So
I'm gonna, based on your response, I feel like your true biggest surprise was the Infinite Ultra.
It probably was. It really was.
Not the Chip Zdarsky comic. But
I didn't know if I need a comic or not. But yeah, I mean, say
it's still
DC
comics related.
DC Infinite, that's a game changer, man. It really
I would argue that Matt liking a Chip Zdarsky comic is not a surprise at all. That's actually something that I would expect.
All right.
Take that for what it's worth. I don't know. This is just me speaking.
So the committee of 2 is now a committee of 1. Just so we know, for the record, people. I have been neutered. I have been given. Yeah. No, it would be DC Infinite. It would be. It really would be.
All right.
I'm good, man. That's my.
I'm glad we workshopped that one in real time while recording.
Yeah, that's how it works, baby.
That's how you got to do it. When you don't work with a script, these are the things that happen.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
So
Right.
my biggest surprise of 2022, and this was one that I was a little bit loath to admit in the moment, and I am not only um, I had to eat a lot of crow, a lot of humble pie for dinner. Had to suck it up, admit I was wrong. But my biggest surprise of 2022 was the Massiverse. The way that Massiverse one shot sucked me so deep back into that little connected world of comics. I got to give Matt credit. He stuck with it. He belittled and badgered me over and over. I eventually gave in. That was it. That's the biggest surprise for me. More so it's like a surprise, like a self-reflecting surprise. Or maybe I should have stuck around in the beginning a little bit longer, but we got there eventually. That Massiverse one shot brought me back in, or
My
brought me in
biggest
for the
surprise
first
is you
time.
chasing down all those back issues and getting them all. That's the biggest surprise for me.
You know, you know how it is, man. Once I'm focused on
All
something
in.
like that, I punch the clock. That's my second job. That's my part-time job. We're going hard in the paint on it.
I love it. I'm glad you're on board. I'm glad
Me
you're on
too.
board.
Me too. Me too. It's not the last time we're going to talk about the Massiverse in this episode, I'm sure. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit. Now, let's talk about our biggest disappointments of 2022. And again, this is comic book related disappointment.
My biggest comic book disappointment was I don't have the issue because I was so disgusted. I think I might have recycled it. I don't even know if I gave
Harsh.
it away. Um, was the new Punisher series by Jason Aaron, and the character assassination of Frank Castle. I'm not going to go into the why I think that this is done by Marvel Comics. I'm not going to go into that, but all I will say, issue one I thought was pretty strong. They changed his logo. It was like this ridiculous looking, like samurai looking logo, and I was like, this doesn't make
This is the
sense.
iteration where he leads the hand.
Yes, where he's leading the hand, and I was not on board with it, but I picked up the first issue. I read the first issue and I like texted Dave. I was like, that was actually pretty
I
good. So
remember
like
that.
I went in with an open mind. But I went in with an open mind and I enjoyed it. But issue like I think it was 3 where they pretty much retcon his origin and take him from being a man who has experienced tragedy to pretty much he was a serial killer, from his youth, and he was always damaged and all. It just that kind of character assassination I cannot get on board with. Those of you who have listened to any episodes of this podcast know that once I get something, I get hooked and I have to get the whole arc or the whole run, or I have to like do that. I read that issue, I immediately dropped that series. I beat the pre-order deadline to get it off of my list. That's how disgusted I was with the book. Like I went out of my way to cancel that stuff. So I was pretty upset with how they did Frank Castle dirty. There's a different way. If you want to paint Frank Castle as, you shouldn't glorify the Punisher. You should never be glorified. But like, there's a different way you could paint him as a villain if you really wanted to paint him as a villain and not do that, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about the Punisher is that his ideology is so twisted that you're supposed to not be sure if you're rooting for the guy or not.
exactly.
That makes the Punisher interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I didn't read the book. I knew once I saw the solicitation for the series, it wasn't for
You
me.
saw the name on it. I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I was like, this gonna be all right, man. I really learned a lesson. Like that one, I'm creative team now. That burned me, man. That one fooled me once.
So my biggest disappointment of 2022 was Amazon's handling of the Comixology acquisition.
That is a good one. That is a very good one.
I can't quantify
The disgust.
well, that I think I could quantify that if I thought hard enough about it. What I can't quantify is the lost sales to the Comixology / Amazon, because I have bought maybe 3 or 4 digital comics from that store this year. I'm so distraught at that shopping experience. The fact that it took them however many months just to sort something alphabetically when searching for comics, aka books. If you go into any bookstore in the world, things are arranged alphabetically, except for on Amazon's digital comic store. It's unacceptable.
Parent teacher conference.
I canceled Comixology Unlimited over this. I stopped buying digital comics over this, and I am the guy that they should want to be catering to. I am fully on board for digital.
You are not the traditional, like, we're in that age where we're like, we're those fossils that are stuck and we'll always read paper. Like, you're the guy they should be going after.
Yep.
You've bridged the gap. It's your time.
Yeah.
Ran you off.
They should be putting me in ads on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, they should.
Like, look at me, aging comic fan, but I love digital comics, and here's why. Nope, can't do that because I don't believe in the product. Not the digital comic, but the Comixology.
That's a really good one.
I hated it. Still hate it. I looked at it the other day and I was like, man, this is not a good shopping experience still. I'm not a fan of it. I want to do that on Amazon. I just don't. Anyway, moving on. One thing that I think everyone can relate to if you read comics is that it's exciting to get a new #1 issue. We love a new series, right? Everyone loves to try something new, and you love to jump in at the ground floor. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But next category is your favorite new series of 2022.
My favorite new series of 2022 should be of no shock or surprise. Batman, Superman's World Finest, guys.
I'm a little surprised.
Are you really?
Only because I didn't know it started in 2022.
I talked about it for so long, you thought it started in 2005?
Yeah, I'm not surprised you like it. I am surprised that #1 came out in 2022. I had no idea.
Yeah, I searched it because I was like, is this 2021? But it came out in 2022. Just nice. I think it was like March, like just February, just barely made it. It's a great Batman Superman book. Dan Moore art. A lot of different characters from the DC universe brought in. Doom Patrol. Like, Dave, Doom Patrol is in the first arc. I know you haven't read it, but it is a book. Every time I get it, it's the first book I read when I get home, and I have not been let down since. There's been maybe 1 or 2 filler issues, but the art is so consistent. Like a filler artist, but they have a similar style to Moore. It's not jarring like a lot of other comics when they have filler issues. I really want you to read this series so I can get your take on it. I think you will enjoy it. I think it's just a fun book that harkens back to the 80s.
Tough with Superman in there, man.
Dude, but the Batman is so good in it. I mean, I really think you're going to enjoy it. But
I mean, it's on Infinite Ultra, so you never know. You never know.
I really hope. But
I'm still reading Revival. I'm on volume 6 now. By halfway through volume 6, I made some progress.
There's 9 of them, right? There's 9 volumes.
There are 9 of them, yes.
I just downloaded on the Humble Bundle.
Yeah,
it's like,
there are 9 of them.
Going to be locked up for a while.
But they're short. They're only like 140, 150 pages each. They're not super long.
Yeah, but you only make it through 10 pages a night and then you pass out.
Sometimes less.
Sometimes 5.
It depends on. Sometimes it's 5 panels. It just depends on how much Marvel Strike Force I played before I start reading.
Oh my god. Batman, Superman, World's Finest.
I still got to read Batman Chip Zdarsky run, so we're
2 years in by the time you get done.
This is my life, man. There's other stuff that I got to do.
You're living life, dude.
I don't know. So my favorite new series of 2022. This will be no surprise if you listen to this podcast regularly. Rogue Sun. the best book in the Massiverse line. It's the closest thing to a spiritual successor to Invincible that I can get, in terms of like tone and content. I love the book. I love the Massiverse. Rogue Sun is
I love
probably
Matt. It's recommended.
Yeah, it's true. I Rogue Sun is the book that got me hooked on everything else in the Massiverse. Like that one shot was the thread for me to pull on, and Rogue Sun was just that was a rocket ship into the heart of the Massiverse for me.
Very Dan Mora art on Rogue Sun too. Maybe I just thought that. Maybe that's another reason why it appeals to me so much. I really like the art.
Could be. So I know, Matt, I sent you these in a specific order, but I'm going to change the order a little bit.
Okay.
Just so things are grouped.
Okay.
In a way that makes more sense. So next up, we're going to talk about our comic of the year. The best series of 2022. Doesn't have to be a new series from this year.
Okay.
But it has to be a series that took place during 2022.
So I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to go off of how I interpreted this list, which was the best single issue that came out in 2022. Okay. But this would also be the best new series.
Well, it's not a new series. It's just comic of the year.
This would be the comic of the year.
It's the MVP of comics.
MVP. Everything. It stirs the drink.
Okay.
And
stirs the drink? What kind of... I've never heard that before.
You never heard that?
No.
It stirs the drink.
That's some sort of weird, like, Central New York analogy.
Oh, no.
Metaphor.
Man.
It's a metaphor, I guess. I don't know.
It could be a New York metaphor, but for my book, I'm going to take you down to Louisiana as well. Go Tigers. Rogue Sun.
All right.
Issue number 4 specifically. Do you remember how I was like, Dave, did you read Rogue Sun number 4 for like 2 weeks until you got your shipment?
Yes.
I was blown away by that issue. The last reveal on the last page, when we were going back and forth text today, that was the first issue that came to my mind that I was like, that was my oh crap moment of the year, was issue number. I don't remember issue numbers. I was like Rogue Sun number 4. I remember exactly what issue number that one was, because that's how awesome I thought it was. And I liked the series up until that point, but that's when I was just like, okay, I get it now. And yeah. So Rogue Sun number 4. Get on board with the Massiverse, people. Good stuff.
So my comic of the year it might surprise you, but it shouldn't.
It's also Rogue Sun.
It is not Rogue Sun. I did this in the spirit of the awards show premise, where this is truly, it was the comic of the year as far as a series is concerned.
So it's something you just read this year.
This is comic series of the year. It had to be a current comic, but you can publish in 2022.
Okay, I was about to say, like, if you say Batman Cataclysm,
it's like, no, I'm so confused as to how you didn't follow the spirit of this one. It's like any award show you've literally ever seen. Like the Grammys have album of the year, the Oscars have movie of the year.
It could have started in 2020, but as long as it crossed the plane into 2022, we're good, right?
Yeah, as long as it was a comic published in the year 2022, it's the comic series of the year. This is a slam dunk. I can't believe you didn't pick this. Saga. Easy.
Yeah.
Comic of the year. It's the comic of the year. It made 2022 worth living.
It's got 3 issues in, dodging and weaving.
They published, 5 or 6 in 2022?
Oh, all right.
It's an ongoing series. It is.
I hate this.
It's back in January, man. We're going to be reading it in like a month.
We thought we were going to get like a couple years of Saga. They're like, psych, 6 months, see you later. Ducking and weaving, baby.
Okay.
We're still waiting on bated breath. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's worth the wait. Whenever it gets here, it's worth the wait.
Exactly. The best comic. It's the best comic that's currently being published. It's an ongoing series that hasn't reached its final yet. We know it's going to go 100 and
50 issues or something. You said I don't know.
no, it was like
Something.
110 or something.
110.
Going to go another. I think it said it was going to go another 50 or 60 issues. We ended on 54 before the 2-year hiatus, right? We ended on 54. So yeah, about 110
I don't
issues,
remember.
108 issues, I think.
Yeah, I read it in trade, so no, that's a good one.
So yeah. So last comic related one. But this one is what comic we're most excited for in 2023.
Comic I'm most excited
Interpret this
for.
how you will. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I've been hitting up a lot of indies and stuff, and that's good. Well, I guess Batman, Superman, but I'm excited to read the new Superman book in January or February, because I want to see what this whole Dawn of DC thing is about. Like, I want to read it for Superman, obviously, but I want to know what the direction of this event the DC is putting on. I don't know what's going on, so I hope that book gives some clarity to where the line might be going. So
I'm not holding my breath, but I will wait for you to tell me because I'm not going to read it myself.
Understood.
It is what it is. The comic I'm most excited for in 2023, also Saga.
Your book of 2023 Saga.
It might be.
Use that every year. You could just use that every year.
Until something better comes out or BKV does something unforgivable. Yes.
So I will be changing my pick from my series of the year in 2023 will be when do you see how they're making Invincible in black and white? That will that is my book of the year.
I didn't.
It's like
that is the
Invincible because it's like Walking Dead Deluxe. It's called Invincible Undeluxe because it's not in black and white instead of color. Invincible Undeluxe will be my book of the year next year.
That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, I read this. I'm like, what is this? And it's like they're printing it in black and white. I was like, no.
Who asked for that? If you're listening or watching and you want that, please tell me why. Please tell me why. I don't understand why you would want that.
I mean, this might be a hot take thing, but I don't personally love like just black and white pencils. I've never like
I don't either.
I guess if you got the original art, that would be cool, but like I've never got that. If like there's an option in color, I want full color. Like,
yeah,
ideally, I don't know.
You know what I really want? Invincible Season 2 on Amazon, Robert. Could you do that instead of printing it without color? Could you just go back to the show?
An Invincible miniseries, something.
Or an ongoing with Tara. I don't know. Anything but this. I'll tell you that. I never in a million years would have expected the return of Invincible the comics to be a reprinting in black and white. So sad.
Deluxe, baby. On Deluxe.
On Deluxe. Okay, moving on. We got a couple of video game related topics. First one, Game of the Year. Had to been released in 2022 though.
My Game of the Year for 2022 is Elden Ring. I don't have anything. I didn't play any video games this year except Division, Overcooked, which have all been out for years. I really didn't play any games in 2022.
Didn't you play Shredder's Revenge? I thought you...
Oh my god. Shredder's Revenge. Good call. Good call. Great call.
And you played Gotham Knights.
Yeah, TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Nope. Good call. That's a great call. That is the game that I have definitely enjoyed the most this year.
And that, our humble viewers, is what you call exerting influence.
Yes. You can
see how quickly I got Matt to change his answer.
That was straight up like the dudes in the MLB that are just like, we're not voting for these steroid guys. That you just like straight up. Yep, you took my vote. Yes, sir. Yes, see? Yeah. No, Shredder's Revenge, 100%. Good call. Didn't think of that. I was thinking of AAA big budget.
Ah, man, if it came out in 2022 and you played it.
Peggle 3. No.
Fable 3. You heard it here first. Game of the year. Go download it on your mobile phone right now.
TMNT, so good. So much replay value too. Love it.
Fantastic game.
It is a great game.
However, not my game of the year.
I feel like I also had to badger you to play that game.
You didn't have to badger me.
I was like, dude, where do you go to play this game? Oh, I'm busy, man. All right. You're a gamer.
Apex Legends has been out for almost 4 years now. And I have somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 hours on that game. Which is why it's very difficult for me to pick a game of the year, because Apex Legends didn't come out in 2022. And while I have played a decent amount of games this year, the runaway game of the year for me was Elden Ring. It really was. I mean, you could say that, like, it won Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
was
universally
like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
everyone loved it.
It's not that crazy, man. People love From Software, and this one, Elden Ring, reached so many new players because of it being open world. That in a roundabout kind of way added some accessibility to the game for people that are not hardcore FromSoft players, because people like me that want to level grind and experience the game however I want in an open world setting with no rules, that is what really got me interested in it. Just happens to also be a fantastic looking game with really solid play mechanics and a challenging but not punishing combat system, unless you want it to be. If you want to handicap yourself and play a very difficult game, you absolutely can do that. If you want to give yourself an advantage by grinding and leveling and over leveling before you take certain boss fights on, you can do that too.
It's still a challenging game though. Like, I know they're making it more accessible, but it's still, I know those games are known for their inherent challenge and difficulty. So it's still a challenging game, like straight up.
But for some people, I suspect a lot of people like me, who that really difficult combat was a bit of a gate. It's no longer a gate for whatever reason. Like, by tricking me into getting the game with the promise of play it how you want and you can level grind and you can, not make it so hard. It got me to try that combat system out and then really fall in love with it, and even start to challenge myself a little bit more and play the game less like an overgrind and more like it's intended. And it was really fun. I'm glad I did.
I call this tactic by FromSoft the reverse comicsology. They got you on the hook now for future releases.
Oh yeah, as long as they're open world games, I am in. I am in.
The reverse comicsology. All his money's going there. That's where it's going.
Absolutely right. One more video game topic / category. Game you're most excited for in 2023.
I actually don't know. I do have something here. So I've actually been playing more video games as of recent.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
This man must be hiding offline like me all the time, because I never see him on.
I'm straight up online.
Oh, really? I never see you on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing it like
we're on different schedules.
Well, I really enjoy the Xbox cloud gaming through Game Pass. So I've been playing like over lunch now because I have like a controller in my office. Nice. And I was like, oh, dude, like I'm subscribing to the theory, like I get overwhelmed because I don't get to do those gaming binges anymore. But I'm like, I'll just play for 30 minutes here and I'll get to the game, I'll chunk away, whatever. Yeah. So I've been playing like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I like. But the game I'm most anticipating for 2023 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. I'm really looking forward to that. I popped in Resident Evil 2 Remake, which was like a seminal game when I was coming up, was Resident Evil 2. Like that, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy 7, those were like my PlayStation like games that I really, really, some of the games I really, really like and remember. But I played Resident Evil a lot, and me and my cousins would play it. and be scared with things jumping out. So I played Resident Evil 2 this past weekend finally after downloading it. Dude, it's a beautiful game. One, I was completely like scared, like, pardon my French, shitless when I was playing this game. Not only does it have like the fine line of like the old game, but it's new. Like in the old game, when Leon pulls in town, he goes to the gas station, you just see a cutscene. In this game, you play that cutscene and you're in that gas station, you play that part of the mission. So it's like completely
That's
new.
really cool.
So
I didn't know they did that.
yeah, dude, like, because that was just like, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, it's just like a cutscene. He stops at a gas station, but this, you go into the gas station, you maneuver around, you find stuff, and then there's like a zombie that approaches you, and then it was just awesome. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to 3, and Resident Evil 4 was just straight up just an awesome game, and I know that's the most critically one of the most critically acclaimed Resident Evil, if not the most critically acclaimed. So I'm really interested to see what they do with that. I'm normally like not a crazy fan of like remakes and stuff like that, but in these cases, they really are like breaking these games down, and they're like almost completely new games. Like I'm gonna have to talk to my boy Dave because like I might be in the market for a PS4. There's one of my or PS5. My one doctor I work with, like we've really connected because like he's like a hardcore gamer, and he didn't know like I used to be a hardcore gamer, so he's throwing out some like obscure stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like I worked at GameStop, I know all this, like, so like he's in my office like every day now, and we're talking about games.
Awesome.
But he's a big PlayStation guy, and there's so many good exclusives. I gotta get Spider-Man and Horizon and all that stuff. So I think I'll be in the market for a PlayStation here soon.
That God of War.
Yep, and
like
God
reboot.
of War, of course.
I just started. So I hadn't played.
I
want to play Ragnarok, but I haven't played the first one yet, the one that came out in 2018. So I started playing that over the weekend, and oh my gosh, dude, that's so good.
I really want to play Horizon. Like that just always looks super cool to me. That Horizon franchise.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a PS4, so like I could play Spider-Man. Like I have the one you sent me, but I'm
you can play God of War and you can play Horizon, but you must look at a PS5 and do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like for me now, it's not even like the graphics. Like I was always when I gamed, I was always like a year behind. Like you would have the PS5, I'd have the PS4. I wouldn't care the graphics or whatever. It's the load times, man. I cannot go back to the old load. Like even now, when I cloud game at work, it's just like through the cloud, so it's not like having my Series X. So I'm like, what is taking so? Oh, it's through the cloud. But I deal with it for that. But long-winded response. Resident Evil 4. If the second part of Final Fantasy comes out, kind of interested for that as well too. But
you want to hear a fact that's going to get me a lot of boos? People throwing tomatoes at me. Probably even you.
Like Resident Evil. Well, yeah, whatever.
I have completed 2 Resident Evil games, and only 2. The first Resident Evil on PlayStation, and Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
In fact, I never even played Resident Evil 4.
Dude, you'll love the remake. It's really good. Like it'll especially with the remake, it was a good game. It was fun. It was really scary too.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I will not be playing the remake.
All right, sweet, bro. See you in Elden
Sorry.
Ring.
I got too many.
Keep farming those little dudes or whatever out in those little troll rocks. Farming those guys.
What
experience? You farming those little trolls in Elden Ring?
Man, I tried going back to Elden Ring. I can't even do it. I can't do it. I'm so far removed. I don't know where that. There's no narrative storyline in that game. You just figure out where you're going on your own. It's been too long. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. When I was at your house playing on that TV, I kind of had a nightmare because of that hand monster that popped out of the ground.
Hell yeah. That TV is everything.
Might have had a nightmare because of that hand monster.
I love it. Man, playing the 2018 God of War, the PS5 upgrade locks it at 60 frames per second. And it just looks so good. Anyway, the game that I'm most excited about for 2023 is Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Ooh, that's okay.
Insomniac is hard at work. It's got. I mean, it could get pushed out of 2023. Who knows? But tentatively, it's coming out in 2023, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Love that you're staying on brand for the podcast.
I mean, the only other game that I would even have considered is the remake of the first Dead Space.
That's a good one too.
I pre-ordered it through Limited Run Games. If you're unfamiliar with Limited Run Games, what they do is release games that had previously only been released digitally on a physical cart or disc. And they also do some collector's editions type of stuff like this. So it was a $300 collector's edition. It comes with a wearable Isaac helmet that lights up, I think, too, and a bunch of other stuff. But the helmet was the draw.
We got a big dome. I don't know if that would fit my head.
Yeah, you'll know when the game comes out because I'll show up to the episode that we record that week wearing Isaac's helmet, so I can talk about it. So last but certainly not least, a little self-reflection for Matt and I. We're talking about our favorite episode of the podcast. Can't choose this one, obviously, but we've got 36 others to choose from.
Okay.
This was tough for me.
Okay.
There was a handful that I was debating between.
I think our one of our best conversations, where we did our best Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless impersonation was Comic Fight Superman. When I came at that man's neck and pretty much told him he was my brother and that's why he doesn't get Superman, and that's okay. And he was just like, man, whenever I can get Dave to just think for a second, like, and that's when I was just like, that's why I need to write Superman. That was just like, that was a good moment. The Marvel episode, the fatigue episode.
That one's mine. The MCU fatigue is my favorite one.
When you crushed me that whole episode, at the end said you were fatigued. Moon Knight.
Got him.
See, that's a chuckle. That's when the Dave chuckle started becoming a thing. When I was like, "You're fatigued." So I'll let you go on that, but
the Comic Fights one was one of my favorites too. It was between those two.
Those two, and obviously that little Thanksgiving thing that you did that I will never be able to give back to you. Like, I appreciate and love you, and
you too, man.
That was very touching.
I'm glad. I just felt like it was, appropriate for the season. Little something.
But Comic Fight Superman, I really like.
We got to do another one of those. We talked about it being a regular thing.
I like too many things. That's the problem.
That's okay. So I'll just have to. I'll be the Skip Bayless, man. I'll hate everything. It's fine. I can do that. I can play the villain.
It's all right.
All right. That's a wrap on our. It's sort of an appended 2022 year in review because we didn't really dig into every single thing that we talked about this year, everything that happened. And you never can. There's too much stuff going on in the world of comics and video games and pop culture to distill it down into, a 40-minute podcast episode. But these are some of the highlights, the high notes, stuff that I thought it'd be cool to share our opinions on. Anything you want to add to this, Matt?
No, not really. Just, kind of really looking forward to year 2. Hoping we can maybe prioritize some time into that one guy that wears yellow and blue over your shoulder, possibly, would be Invincible.
Yeah, I'd love to do some Invincible conversations.
Yeah, I feel like I want to revisit that series.
I feel like I want you to finish watching season 1 of the show.
I should do that. I told you I watched like a lot of it when I was on the plane, right?
Yeah, but you didn't watch all of it yet.
No, I didn't watch all of it, but I need to see the last fight. I know. I've seen. I need to see it in animated form.
You really do. You really do.
But yeah.
It's like a panel for panel recreation, man. It's so great.
Really?
Oh, it's so great.
Chills. I don't know if you want to talk maybe about, like, I think we're going to take maybe a little break, or I don't know. Are we not taking a break?
So we are going to. So yeah, it's the holidays coming up. And we're both going to be busy with various things. Me with work, Matt with his family. We lead very different lives.
I mean, I do have a job too. I am employed. I'm gainfully employed.
Yeah, but your job is in higher education, and that shit shuts down during the holidays.
This
Mine doesn't.
Baby, cloud gaming.
Yeah, I don't have that same luxury that you have. I need to change industries at some point.
Remote play.
Yeah, no, none of that for me. None of that for me. So yeah, we're gonna take a couple of weeks off so we can sort of recharge and just be chilling for a little bit. However, we are going to still release a couple of things here and there. They're not going to be full episodes. We're going to record a couple little special shorter episodes just so there's some content still leaking out there while we're on our mini vacation.
You're not saying leaking on this.
We leak out some content.
Sounds dirty. I don't know. Like, I'm sitting next here looking at a box of diapers next to me. That's probably why.
Just frame of reference, man. Not everybody that hears the word leak thinks of something dirty like you.
Adam Schefter.
So anyway, this episode will come out on December 19th, which is a 1 week from when we're recording it. And then we won't have full-length episodes again until January 9th. We will have some content coming. So, I hope everyone has happy holidays, Merry Christmas, however you celebrate. Take some time, reflect on your year. It's good to reflect. Take some time for yourself. Reflect on the year. Get yourself ready for 2023. We'll be doing the same. We'll release some content between when you're listening to this episode and when we release the next full episode on January 9th. I've now said that twice. One last thing that I'll say, our Twitter handles are in the description of this video and or audio episode. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. Tell your friends about our podcast, because that's the only way people are going to find us. Because I'll tell you one thing's for sure. The algorithms won't help. Only you can. So, if you like us, do your part, damn it. My name's Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll see you in a week. Bye.
Peace.